Yes, guys, and welcome from me. This is Championship Manager 0102. Off topic, a real quick, small discussion on heavyweight boxing concept and its current position. I've always been a big fan of boxing, and I think, like many, we go through phases, don't we, within various weight classes, where it's really entertaining and it's really dull. I mean, the Klitschko brothers held on to a lot of the belts for such a long time. There wasn't massive amounts of bout during that time. That's not to say that they weren't great champions, because they were. For me, at the moment, the heavyweight is at an all-time high. I mean, you know, it's each to their own in terms of opinion. And a quick gander now at something, a website that I use, heavyweightboxing.com/rankings. Now, this ain't necessarily the rankings. This is just a site that I use, and I like to retain using. We all know who the number one is, and that is Alexander Usyk. Usyk, for me, is a great fighter. A 24-0. Of course, he's a two-weight undisputed champion, and no one can argue. He silenced all the critics, right? He silenced all the critics, and he's defied all the odds. And I think he's an absolute remarkable fighter. Should he retire? Maybe, to avoid compromising his legacy. He's obviously currently out injured, isn't he? Well, he's not injured. He got a 30-day or 90-day extension on his recovery after his Dubois second fight. So I don't think there's anything malicious in that at all. You know, he's beaten Dubois twice, he's beaten AJ twice, he's beaten Tyson Fury twice, Derek Chisora once, Tony Bellew back at cruiserweight once. He's killed Britain. He really has killed Britain. According to this, Joseph Parker is number 2. Now, I totally agree with that. If there's one person that deserves a shot, it's Joseph Parker. Parker, I followed him years ago, and I felt he was really shit on back in February when he was supposed to fight Dubois. Dubois then pulled out ill. He took on Bacola at the last minute, and he beat Bacola with ease. And again, you know, with Usyk getting this extension of a rest period, Parker again has to make way. And he's obviously got an interesting fight coming up in a month's time against Fabio Wardley. A very, very interesting fight, because Wardley only just scraped through his last fight against Justice Hooney. He was losing, then he ended up with a knockout, which, you know, at the end of the day, it's about getting the win. I don't mind Wardley. He's not an arrogant cunt, because, you know, he's not arrogant like a lot of the youngsters, particularly the British youngsters, are. Parker is a real model professional, you know, and he has been shit on. He deserves a chance. Would he beat Usyk? I don't know. Will he beat Wardley? I think he will beat Wardley. Wardley needs a test. More about Wardley in a moment. Ajit Kabayel. Now, Kabayel, I've not really seen him fight too much, but, you know, he's been getting his way up there, and he's on a 26-0. You know, Kabayel needs a big fight. And when I say big fight, he needs a top-ranked fighter. That being said, his last fight was in February, and he beat Zhilei Zhang. Now, Zhilei Zhang is no easy pushover, and Kabayel beat him. I think Kabayel needs another one. You know, there's no doubt about that. But we shall see. Daniel Dubois. Now, Daniel Dubois, right, I lost so much respect for Daniel Dubois when Usyk beat Tyson Fury on the second fight and Dubois came into the ring. I fucking hate that shit. I hate this coming into the ring and you know, throwing the challenge. I think it's very, very... And I think there was more to that, because I think at the time he did it, I think Usyk was talking about his late dad. And Dubois, then there was a thing with the pulling out of the Joseph Parker thing. Then there was this thing with the Usyk where he had a party or some shit. And he can't conduct himself here. You'd have thought he'd have been fucking had some lessons on this. The guy's fucking thick. The guy's thick. You know, and he's got a screw loose. He sacked his trainer shortly after that last fight. I didn't like his trainer, to be honest with you. I think he's a dickhead. But it reminds me of that tennis bitch, Raducanu, who loses and sacks her trainer immediately. So he's sporting a 22-3. 3 defeats, the same as Joseph Parker, I think I forgot to say. You know, I really wanted him to lose against Usyk, and he didn't just lose, he got fucking destroyed. Tyson Fury, is he retired? Is he not retired? Well, it depends what day of the week it is, don't it? Because Tyson Fury is a show person. Tyson Fury is still a good fighter. I mean, I've watched Fury several times, and he's quite an animal. And the bottom line is, right, his animal tactics, don't get me wrong, they're great, but they weren't good enough to beat Usyk, not once, but twice. And I don't care how many times Tyson Fury says, I won that fight. The first fight, I thought I was winning. Well, you know, I don't believe that bullshit. You know, the guy, and I can relate to some of this, the guy is ill in respect of mental health. And I of all people, with what I have to do in terms of home, I understand that, but the bottom line is, if that is the case, right, then he should be in the fucking ring. You know, he should not be in the ring. You know, I remember watching a Tyson Fury documentary. That was a complete farce, complete load of bullshit. Don't get me wrong, his fights against Deontay Wilder were all fantastic. They were all absolutely fantastic. Klitschko was a good fight, but Klitschko was at the back end of his career. So it was great to see him on his arse, basically, when, obviously, Klitschko put him, Deontay Wilder put him on the floor, and he did bounce up, and of course, Usyk, as far as I'm concerned, knocked him down. I mean, I watched that fight, and Tyson Fury, he looked like he was dying, looked like he was just being shot, and he was on his way down, but the rope saved him. But that counted as a knockdown. I mean, the guy is weird. Hedovich is a great fighter. He's another good fighter. He's an animal. I watched his last fight against David Adelaide, and David Adelaide, he was doing nothing. And then David Adelaide had a couple of chances, and then Hedovich just took over. But Hedovich, there is one thing, he does have an issue with above his right eye, and any boxer is going to try and exploit that. 19-1, I think his only defeat came to Daniel Dubois. Anthony Joshua, never been a big fan of Anthony Joshua. Followed him since the start of his career. Was always fighting Joeys to begin with. Had this amazing record of I think it was 19-0. And he hadn't fought anybody. He fought Usyk. He lost against Ruiz to begin with. And then he won. He lost to Usyk and had the rematch clause and lost again. Now, if I remember rightly, one of those defeats, he went fucking crazy at the end of the fight. He's a showboat. If Tyson Fury does fight Joshua, which I just think is a joke that it's never happened, I would want Tyson Fury to win that because Joshua gets on my tits. He really does. Those are the main ones that I know most about. I'm not so familiar with some of these. Efe Ajagba, a Nigerian, 20-1. His last fight was against Bakola. A draw. I'm not a fan of when a fight is ended to be a draw. I'd have to watch it to see if I agree. Because it can be, you've got to imagine, what are the chances? Fabio Wardley, as I said, he won his last fight just back in June. Big opportunity for Wardley. I'm going to sneeze. The thing is, right, if Wardley does beat Parker, he's taken a shortcut. Now, whilst that's not fair to some of the other boxers, it is what it is. And I've got nothing against that, but I would just feel for Parker. I just think it'd be unfair on Parker if he was to lose to Wardley. I mean, it does show from Parker that, to have the fights. Moses Atama. Right, now, I keep hearing about Moses Atama and how great he is, right? He's not fought anyone of calibre. Dillian Whyte, right? Dillian Whyte was not at anywhere near his peak. And that was a joke of a fight. Absolute joke of a fight. Moses Atama, and then it pisses me off, right, when I keep reading and watching Moses Atama as a future champion, Moses Atama this, Moses Atama that. Whoever is on fight night, all of a sudden, are the favourite to be a champion. It frustrates me. Zhang, I do like Zhang. When I saw him knock out Deontay Wilder, that was superb. That was brilliant. Bakola is just that big fucking heavyweight, isn't he? Derek Chisora should retire. Chisora, he sounds like he's been hit too many times to the head. Michael Hunter, don't know too much about Michael Hunter. Only one defeat though. Frank Sanchez, one defeat in 25 with 25 wins. Justice Hooney, again he had that defeat to Fabio Wardley. Murat Gassiev, 32-2. I think he's a bit of a journeyman. Joe Joyce, again a journeyman. He's not good enough. Joe Joyce. Jared Anderson at 18-1. Pulev 32-3. Some boxers, they'll never get to that next level. Jarrell Miller, 2 draws to his name. Andy Ruiz Jr. has gone off the mark a little bit. Drew with Jarrell Miller. He's had 2 defeats. One of them I know was against Joshua. I can't quite remember who the other one was against. Deontay Wilder will never be like he used to be, but he's obviously on his comeback trail. Richard Torres Jr. Jalarov. Now, Jalarov and Torres Jr., they're both on, and they've both got O's, so we shall see. We shall see. Vianello, 13-3. I'm not sure who he is, what he is. Lawrence Okoli, 22-1. Perro, 12-0. I have been keeping an eye on him, 12-0. Yucko, 14-3. And finally, Jermaine Franklin, 24-2. Now, when I last looked at these rankings, Huey Fury was in the top 30. Now, I use another page as well, because I like to sort of like keep up to date as to... this is boxing.com. This isn't boxing.com rankings at all. Actually, tell a lie, it is. That first one is called heavyweightboxing.com/rankings. This is called boxingscene.com/rankings. And this is your rankings for each of the main 4 belts. As in, I mean, Derek Chisora, that's number 2, that is pathetic. Don't tell me that Derek Chisora is the highest ranked fighter to have an IBF shot. Because if that is absolutely bollocks. Moses Atoma, no fucking ways he made his way up to be number 1. You know, that's pathetic. Okoli, they're bullshit. They really are bullshit. Moses Atoma, as I said, he's barely had any fights. To make him number 1 contender for the WBO is just ridiculous. Obviously, the interim is Joseph Parker. I mean, Usyk holds them all. Cabile takes WBC. The WBA... Pulev regular, Fabio Wardley. I don't understand where this shit comes from. I really don't. So that's it from me, guys, on the off-topic discussion today. Until next time, it's take it easy.